Y'all, it looks like Draya and Michelle and Jalen Green have more problems on their plate than just that huge age gap between them, because these past few days have been full of drama, and I couldn't just leave you hanging without spilling some tea. Now, let's get one thing straight. Their relationship has always caught attention, not just because it's unconventional, but also because of how much conversation it stirs online. Dree, who is now 40, and Jalen, who is 23, are constantly making headlines, not only because of their personal connection, but also because of how the public reacts to their pairing. The 17-year age difference is what sparks the most chatter, with many pointing out that Dree's first son, Nico Howard, happens to be about the same age as Jalen, which makes things even more complicated for outsiders looking in. People on the internet couldn't stop buzzing when they saw Dree bringing Nico along to watch Jalen's games, and some felt like it was awkward for the young man, though to be fair, it's not unusual for families to support each other in public. Still, the narrative online has turned their private choices into ongoing debate, especially since stories about celebrity couples are always magnified 10 times over. What's even more interesting is how the spotlight seems to follow Dree wherever she goes, thanks in part to her early fame from being on Basketball Wives of LA, a show that constantly kept audiences entertained with all the behind-the-scenes relationship dynamics and fiery personalities. That visibility hasn't faded, and when you combine it with her new chapter alongside an NBA star, it creates a storyline people just can't stop talking about. Now, whether you view their romance as inspiring or complicated, there's no denying that they've managed to capture people's attention like few couples in recent memory. And when you add in the fact that Jalen is still at the start of his professional career while Dree has already lived through a good deal of Hollywood spotlight, it creates a fascinating contrast between experience and youth. Are they clashing because of the challenges that come with balancing careers, family, and the opinions of millions of strangers online? Or is this just another case of the internet amplifying normal relationship ups and downs? Whatever the case may be, it's safe to say that the story of Dree and Jalen is far from over, and whether it's smooth sailing or rocky waters ahead, people will definitely keep tuning in to see what happens next.
No, it's actually true. With the show, like shirt for a hat with the little suit was way for Gil. But he paid me for it, so I'm like, all right, cool.
Well, but he would get a girl and start messing with her in the backseat?
Backseat. I can't say the name he had, but he had a good one time. And I'm like, is this real? He in the back door, I'm driving. They doing whatever in the back.
Nick Young once shared a story during an interview about his rookie days in the NBA, when veteran players often made younger teammates drive them around as a form of hazing, and in his case, he ended up chauffeuring Gilbert Arenas to various clubs and outings, which he remembered more as funny anecdotes from his early career than anything else. What made the story stick was how it resurfaced later in conversations around reality television, where Laura Govan, who also had a connection to Arenas, was asked about Nick's recollection and gave her own perspective, which only added fuel to long-standing chatter that often follows high-profile figures. Now, when conversations like these spill into the public, especially involving familiar names like Dree Michelle, they tend to get amplified because fans and critics alike are quick to connect the dots, spin theories, and bring past situations into the spotlight again. Dree, who first gained fame from her time on Basketball Wives LA, has always had to juggle both the benefits and the burdens of being a public figure, and she eventually responded to the online buzz by clarifying that a lot of the narratives being spread didn't reflect her truth. She expressed frustration at feeling cyberbullied and criticized by both strangers and media outlets, pointing out that while she has made mistakes in her past, the way people retold events wasn't always accurate or fair. In her own words, she highlighted that the interactions being mentioned were old, long before her reality TV career, and she made it clear she didn't believe in dragging people publicly even if others had tried to drag her. The intensity of the reactions shows how the internet rarely lets go of stories once they've gained momentum, and how the mix of celebrity, sports, and
I don't know what people's problem is. Two adults being in love, I don't know why that would rub people the wrong way. It's kind of weird. Love is love at the end of the day.
Reality TV creates endless material for fans to dissect. Fast forward to her relationship with Jalen Green, and the attention only grew louder. Not only because he's a rising NBA player, but also because of the striking 17-year age gap between them, which led to endless debates on social media. Some found it fascinating, others controversial, and plenty of people pointed out the unusual coincidence that Jalen is the same age as Draya's oldest son. Regardless of whether one sees their romance as unconventional, bold, or simply their personal choice, it undeniably drew headlines everywhere. And despite criticism, Draya herself made it known that she wasn't bothered by what people had to say, showing that at the end of the day, she was going to live her life the way she wanted, no matter how much the internet had to say about it.
Like last time I seen Draya when we was talking about that shit, she was with Puff, and I feel like she was giving a nigga a hand. This Puff is trying to have a meeting with me or whatever, and like we there, and like Cassie's in the house or whatever, and like Draya's there or whatever, and like Draya's sitting next to him.
Yeah, the threesome.
And the nigga's trying to have a meeting with me, and like I think that like Draya like giving him a hand job or something under the cut blanket. You know, I'm like, bro, I don't want to talk too much. I went back down.
When it comes to relationships in the spotlight, nothing captures attention quite like a pairing that flips the usual script, and that's exactly why so many eyes are glued to the story of Draya Michelle and Jalen Green, a couple who continue to make headlines for more reasons than one. The part that stands out the most for fans and critics alike is the age difference. Draya, who is 40 years old, is 17 years older than Jalen, who is just 23, and that gap has sparked endless conversations online about double standards, maturity, and what people consider acceptable when it comes to love. Normally, society is used to seeing older men with younger women, something so normalized that it rarely raises eyebrows anymore, but when the roles are reversed, the internet can't help but talk about it nonstop. That's why so many people found it unusual when Draya not only embraced a relationship with Jalen publicly, but also did so while balancing being a mother to her oldest son, Nico, who happens to be around the same age as Jalen. This coincidence has been a big talking point, with plenty of folks on social media making jokes, comparisons, and memes, often asking if it feels awkward for Nico to sit courtside watching Jalen play, while also knowing that he's dating his mother. For some, it's an example of how complex family dynamics can become when personal and public life collide, while for others, it's simply messy drama they can't look away from. Things intensified even more in 2024 when Draya gave birth to her daughter with Jalen, named Light Green, making headlines once again as people debated everything from the unique baby name to what this meant for their future as a couple. At the same time, Jalen also became a first-time father outside of their relationship, which fueled even more online chatter about how complicated things had suddenly become for someone still so early in his NBA career. While the details of his personal life have been kept mostly private, fans still speculated and turned every Instagram post or public sighting into something worth dissecting. For Draya, who has long been in the public eye since her basketball wives' LA days, this wasn't her first experience being the subject of scrutiny, but the pressure seemed heavier than before because the internet was now drawing comparisons, speculating about motives, and picking apart every move. Some viewers of their relationship claimed that she was in it for the attention or the financial stability that comes with dating a rising NBA star, pointing out Jalen's massive contract extension as proof that his career is only going to get bigger. Others argued that the relationship was genuine, that Draya had every right to live her life the way she wanted, and that the criticism only highlighted society's double standards. Either way, the couple's bond continued to be tested, not just by the demands of fame, but also by the way fans amplified ordinary disagreements into viral stories. At one point, rumors of a heated argument between them while attending an event during New York Fashion Week spread across social platforms, with people claiming they had to be separated before things escalated further, though neither Draya nor Jalen confirmed such speculation directly. Still, the idea of them clashing publicly added to the narrative that theirs is a fiery relationship, full of highs and lows, passion and conflict. And even when things looked rough, Draya countered the gossip by posting videos and photos of the two looking very much in love, almost as if to remind everyone that whatever outsiders think, they still share a connection. Yet the internet rarely lets things rest. Many people continued to drag the relationship dynamic, saying it felt more like a mother and son pairing than a traditional romance, while others accused Draya of chasing a certain lifestyle by staying connected to professional athletes. these comments oft. Critics trying to paint a picture that she knew the game and used her experience to her advantage. But to her credit, Draya has addressed criticism in the past by saying she doesn't let strangers dictate her choices and that she won't be bullied into hiding or downplaying her life. On the other side, Jalen has remained more private, rarely speaking out on the matter directly, but his actions, such as publicly acknowledging his daughter and emphasizing how fatherhood motivates him on the court, show that he is balancing his roles as both an athlete and a young parent. This contrast between Draya's seasoned public presence and Jalen's quieter, career-focused approach creates an intriguing balance, though it also highlights the very different stages of life they're in, which many think contributes to the ongoing tension. Their story has become less about just two people dating and more about what they represent to the public, a challenge to norms, a test of how age gaps are perceived, and a reminder of how celebrity culture thrives on turning private matters into spectacle. Are they clashing because of genuine differences in age, lifestyle, and expectations? Or is the drama mostly manufactured by the online world that refuses to let them simply live? That remains to be seen. What is clear, however, is that Draya and Jalen's relationship has become one of the most talked about storylines of recent years, not only because of the unconventional pairing, but also because every twist, whether it's a pregnancy announcement, a rumored argument, or a public appearance, adds fuel to the fire. Some see them as chaotic, others as resilient, but no one can deny they know how to keep the internet watching. And whether the future brings peace, more conflict, or an unexpected new chapter, their story proves that when it comes to love in the spotlight, nothing is ever simple and nothing stays private for long.